not just in New Zealand, but around the world. The shockwave has been enormous, hasn't it? It's just disappointing.
So in the past, where maybe Noeline might have plotted it out carefully, we're really just going series by series now, aren't we?
To go from 26-point win to winning after the final whistle in the third test, first of all, kudos to South Africa. Second of all, I think we're in a bit of trouble.
It wouldn't be my pick. I really see Wormsley's role as a backup to Grace Wecke.
That Austin Berger matchup will be a classic. Yeah, and of course, Grace and Bruce will be a typical battle.
Do players have to love each other's company to put out their best performances?
These elite athletes, and their mindset will be to do the job, and that's the common thread that they'll have.
I think I'm probably going to give the Australians the edge, just because they've been so ruthless against South Africa.
Nau mai ki te hōtaka o te poi tarawhiti Kiwi. Kia ora, I'm Bridget Tunnicliffe, and it's the most anticipated series of 2025, the Constellation Cup between the Silver Ferns and Australia. Last year, the Silver Ferns surprised most people by beating the Diamonds 3-1 to win the Cup for just the third time ever. The build-up this year, though, has been very different. Unprecedented is the word that comes to mind. Joining me to discuss all this, a former New Zealand men's coach, Dion Te Whetu, and RNZ all-rounder Penny Miles. Kia ora, korua. Well, let's just talk about Dame Noeline Taurua's suspension first of all. I think that shocked everyone when it was announced 11 days before last month's Tiny Jamison series against South Africa. Dion, have you gotten over the initial shock yet?
Yeah, I have, barely, but it's it's obviously not just in New Zealand, but around the world. The shockwave has been enormous, hasn't it? It's just it's disappointing, everything that's happened, but I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah, Penny, if I told you 2 months ago that Knowles was going to be suspended as Silver Ferns coach for the rest of the year, what would you have thought?
Oh, I would have thought that you were making it up. And I think it is shocking, and there's no clear timeline for what happens next as well. We've got interim plans, but we're really in limbo. So, yeah, it is pretty shocking, and had a lot of people getting in touch trying to find out what was going on. So that was interesting in itself. So, yeah, very interesting times.
From what we know, it stems back to earlier this year. A few players raised some concerns with the Players Association. Players Association took those concerns to Netball New Zealand, etc., etc., etc. And you get the feeling it started off as something that could have been, I don't know, described as sort of a smallish problem, but it's just snowballed into this massive standoff, and it's just, the whole thing's just awful. Really, really sad. Yeah, Dion, I've never seen the Silver Ferns and Netball New Zealand under so much scrutiny. If you want to look at a silver lining, it shows that people care and they're invested in the Silver Ferns, almost feel they have some kind of ownership over the Silver Ferns.
Yeah, well, at least I guess if you look at sport in this country, and I guess one team in particular being the All Blacks, but I think what's frustrating the most for everyone is just the lack of transparency. Like, we just constantly hearing the word transparency, right, and the way that things have been handled. And yeah, look, we don't know what's going on, and I'm all for players going to the Players Association. The Players Association have done the right thing, and they have presented it to Netball New Zealand, but just the handling of it and the lack of transparency, I just think that if some more transparency had been there, and the messaging that came out from the board and from Netball New Zealand has just, I don't know, I don't feel as though the messaging, it's kind of been like a bit subliminal. It hasn't, I don't think it's been fair, and it's not what, people just want to know what's going on.
Penny, I guess because there's very little information, the downside of that is there's been just so much speculation on social media. It just goes on and on. It's sad to see that there's almost been a witch hunt for players who allegedly went to the Players Association and raised these concerns. I just feel sort of sorry for everyone involved, really.
Yeah, and I think it's worth remembering, once you get the lawyers involved, the only people who are doing well out of it are the lawyers. No one else is. They're clipping the ticket, and some of them will be doing extremely well, because it's obviously become a complicated case. But that means that we really haven't been able to get any information at all. And it also means that it's an easy out in a way for Netball New Zealand to say it's an employment matter and we can't tell you anymore at this stage. So here we are. And as you say, Bridget, it's just gone crazy on Facebook, hasn't it? With all sorts of theories and all sorts of, and then, you know, a lot of people coming out to defend the players defending themselves. It's just been a real schmozzle.
It really has brought out some silly comments. The good old keyboard warriors, things like, oh, Grace was dropped from the captaincy because of what she said. No, they used rotating captains in the Tiny Jamison. The players and management voted for the new interim captains. Or I've seen, oh, Jenny Wiley has never liked Noeline Taurua. No, she was instrumental in getting her on board as Silver Ferns coach in 2018. So people just aren't thinking this stuff through logically. But the last time the Silver Ferns came out and did this much scrutiny was the 2018 Commonwealth Games when New Zealand didn't medal. It's so interesting how different it is. Back then, people were baying for the blood of the coach then. Janine Southby was the villain. This time, there are three main characters. The villains are the players who complained. The wronged party is Noeline. And the incompetent heads must roll are Netball New Zealand. So it's got all the elements of a soap opera. Dion, a difficult space for Yvette McCall's and jury to come into, but if anyone can do it, I think that's her.
Yeah, and when I first heard about what had happened, she was the first person that sprung to my mind as not understanding that the whole management team was going to get wiped. Obviously, you'd straight away you'd think Debbie would fill in the gap, and then do you think, well, would Debbie want to fill in that gap? But kudos to Yvette to come in these circumstances. But in my mind, no better person to come in and handle the way that she has handled things. And her statements are, she's saying, I am just an interim coach and everything. So very smart lady, very good netball coach, and was the first person that I thought of when I heard this.
Penny, what impact could this have on the Silver Ferns preparation for next year's Commonwealth Games and 2027 World Cup? She's missed out on the whole of 2025 international test for the Silver Ferns. And I know that she was really rapt when the Northern Tour was announced because she really wanted to have those tests against Scotland and they could do a bit of a recce in Glasgow, which is where the Commonwealth Games are going to be next year. And they really needed those 3 tests against England. She would have used these 3 series to get intel, to observe the younger players, put them in different situations, see how they respond to directions. How much is this going to hurt their preparations for next year and the year after?
Yeah, undeniably, it's incredibly disruptive. But on the other hand, there are some opportunities for some of the players involved. One that springs to mind is Peter Tuiava, who didn't get a huge run under Noeline Taurua, and I think she is starting to cement that starting wing attack spot. And so coming into, the milestone events, she could be in that starting 7. So as we've spoken about, Yvette is fantastic, but it is difficult because she doesn't know when it's going to end. Just so much uncertainty, I suppose. So in the past where maybe Noeline might have plotted it out carefully, we're really just going series by series now, aren't we? And competition by competition.
Okay, well, let's just quickly reflect on that Tiny Jamison series against South Africa. Silver Ferns won the first test by 26, then the second test by 12, and then just the one goal. I thought South Africa were actually really unlucky to not win that final test. We saw debutantes Phil Devui, Martina Salmon, Catherine Hall. Dion, what stood out to you during that South Africa series?
Yeah, there's a couple of things stood out to me. I think one was as the tests went on, there was first of all, there's a lot of people sort of playing in different positions. Maddie coming out and having can play wing defence, but coming out and playing some wing defence. And but the one thing that I felt was there were micro errors that were being made, especially that second test and the third test as well. I thought South Africa, first and foremost, improved immensely as each test went on, and got to give them absolute kudos for that. But I also felt that the error rate from the Ferns, and I'm talking micro errors like drop passes and things that the girls wouldn't normally do. I felt that was part and cause of probably the intensity at trainings that Noeline would bring going into something like this, whereas opposed to, and I just felt watching it that I was just like, yeah, the trainings, the intensity at trainings probably hasn't been there. In saying that, I feel for the team and I feel for the girls and fully get what they're going through as well. And so it was tough, but to go from 26-point win to winning after the final whistle in the third test. First of all, kudos to South Africa. Second of all, I think we're in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I can't help thinking that South Africa came into that series cold. If they had a warm-up game against, I don't know, the Mystics or New Zealand A, they would have been better prepared. And by that third test, that might have got them over the line and got the win over us. Yeah, it was great seeing Elmia Vanderberg, who's heading to the Adelaide Thunderbirds next year. I'd heard a lot about her, but haven't seen her much. But yeah, she's so calm, and she's one of those players that's got time. Vissa was good, the defender. Penny, anything that stood out to you?
Oh, I think that, given that the Silver Ferns were obviously playing under incredible stress with what was going on in the background, I think there were some really fine performances. And Martina Salmon, getting that goal in the last minute, Maddie Gordon stealing the ball, they were really exciting moments. And yeah, they probably shouldn't have been in that position, but they did pull it off. So yeah, credit where credit's due.
Okay, so Constellation Cup gets underway this Friday in Melbourne. 2 tests in Australia, 2 tests in New Zealand. Only one change to the Silver Ferns. It's Amelia Walmsley in for Filda Vui. The Australian Diamonds team isn't that different to the one that lined up last year. The 2 exceptions, Hannah Mundy and Ashley Irvin, they both got their debuts against South Africa. So the Diamonds have just swept South Africa. Australia won the 3rd test by 23 goals, 2nd by 27, the 1st test by 12. So, if you just go by that and you look at the score comparisons, Silver Ferns margins over South Africa, Australia appear to be pretty slick. Dion, I just find it really difficult to gauge how the Silver Ferns might go against Australia.
Yeah, it is hard. And look, I think they're probably going to be feeling quite a bit of pressure, particularly after their results last year against Australia. However, if you look at the Silver Ferns team, they've got that nucleus of the players there that did win last year, but they're really going to need to leave those players out on the court and let them do what they do. We'll probably may see injections of. Well, I think that for me, I think Gordon and Poi should be at centre wing attack starting, but those little injections of Petter coming on and off the court, which makes it, it's a definite change up. I think not a concern, but if you look at it's almost a role reversal of the way we went against South Africa with the scoring, and then Australia sort of started a little bit slower, but they're going to come in hot. They're going to come in very hot, and they're going to be. That first test, they're going to throw everything at the Ferns, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Ferns stand up to that. Last year we saw them; it was like, took it on their shoulders. And I know, at that goal attack area we're a bit vulnerable, but I know I felt that was a vulnerable area during the when we played the Proteas as well. So that's probably going to be where I think they'll target us a little bit in that area. Yeah, have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, Penny, obviously we are going to miss Amelia Ignacio, no doubt about that. Martina Salmon did well when she came in at goal attack, but against the Australians, it's a massive step up. What about trying Walmsley at goal attack?
Oh, you could try it, but I have to say I'm really no fan of the tall goal shooter at goal attack. I just feel like you really need the playmaker for the speed. Everything just gets slowed down so much. So it wouldn't be my pick. I really see Walmsley's role as a backup to Grace Wecke.
Okay, what about our preferred midcourt lineup? I've got Petter starting at wing attack, Maddie Gordon at centre, wing defence, Kate Heffernan. Just to start with, who would you go with, Dion?
Look, I would have Kimmy Order at wing attack and Maddie at centre. Definitely Heffernan at wing defence. Berger and then Jackson at the back.
Yeah, how about you, Penny?
I think we all know who's going to be starting at goal sheet.
Yeah. Who would you
Yeah,
start with?
and also how fantastic it is to have Grace back, because it was a little bit alarming to think that we may not have had her for this series. Yeah, I went for Tuiava at wing attack, but yeah, the same lineup.
Yeah, Berger at goal defence, Kelly Jackson goal keep. What I'm going to find fascinating, right, is if New Zealand is struggling, yeah, let's say the New Zealand defensive end is struggling and you've got Kelly Jackson there at the back and she's just not winning ball. You know, is Yvette going to throw one of the rookies out there? Is she going to throw Catherine Hall on the court at goalkeeper or Cara Stith in the middle of a game? I hope so, because now's the time, right? Let's move on to what matchups we are looking forward to seeing the most. I guess a classic one, there's a bit of argy-bargy history there between Grace Weeke and Courtney Bruce. Does anything else pique your interest?
Oh, I would say Kira Austin, I just think is so fantastic. If she gets out there at goal attack up against Karen Berger, I would enjoy that, yeah.
Exactly the same. That Austin Berger matchup will be a classic. Yeah, and of course, Grace and Bruce at the back will be a typical battle. It'll be interesting to see, that Grace has spent a season in the ECSN. It'll be interesting to see the difference. But I mean, Grace handled her last year as it was. So, and this is my thing. Like, if we're a little bit weaker in that goal, and no disrespect to our goal attacks, but if we are a little bit weaker in that area, does that allow the goal D to drop in and out? To help Bruce out with Grace.
I'm hoping at some point we might see Peter Tuiava v. Jamie Lee Price.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one too.
Yeah, that could be, fascinating. We talked to Yvette McCausland-Jury, Kartenberger at last week's media session, and they got asked a lot, is this team divided? And they said no. They might not be the best of buddies, but they are united in that they want to work together to perform and win, and there is that respect. Dion, I'm not a coach, you are. Do players have to love each other's company to put out their best performances?
No, they don't. I think at this level, these players are here, they've gotten to this level for a reason, and they don't get there by having to love everyone that they play with. And, I've coached many a high-performance team where there hasn't been obviously there'll be pockets of people that just naturally get along, and that's just society. It's the same inside, any work environment. But if they've got that common goal and they're clear on that common goal, which they will be, they will all work towards that together, no matter, how much they, are looking over their shoulders or whatever, which they shouldn't be anyway. But no, not at all. These elite athletes, they're there for a reason, and their mindset will be to do the job, and that's the common thread that they'll have.
Yeah, Penny, I actually kind of get sick of people always saying, "Oh, our team culture is amazing. We all love each other. We're like sisters. We love hanging out with each other." And every person, netballer you talk to, like, "Oh, this team's amazing. I've never had such an amazing culture." It's like, come on, like.
Well, it's proven now. It's proven now just to be PR speak, really, isn't it? Yeah. So that's interesting in itself. I think it's interesting. Yvette has quite long connections with a lot of these players. Going way back to the Pulse Championships from a long time ago. Even that she's coached at school level with her school teams, whatever. So I think that actually she is a really incredible individual to bring it all together.
Yeah, she's very impressive. How do you feel about are you happy with the choice of interim captains? I mean, it was a team management vote, so they've got the backing. That's probably the best way to do it, especially in this situation. So we've got interim captain Kartenberger and interim vice captain Kelly Jackson. Dion, probably no surprise, really.
No surprise. I thought that Heffernan might have actually been. I thought they might have ran a co-captain role within the team. And the reason I say that is obviously Curran can captain that, sort of that back half of the court, and Heffernan can come, right up to the line and sort of offer her support up there. But I'm not surprised. I'm particularly not surprised about Curran. She is the senior member now in that team, and she's been through a lot in her career, and I just think that she'll bring a lot of leadership qualities to the team, and the team will follow her.
I did ask you to come up with some kind of prediction for the series. I find it really hard. I remember this time last year, based on the Silver Ferns had just come off a 2-1 loss to England, and I was predicting 3-1 to Australia. I thought the Silver Ferns would only win one test, and they came out firing and they won 3-1. Those first three tests, I think, were all double figures as well, like completely tore open the script. So, what am I going to say? I'm going to say 2-2. And actually, I checked with Netball New Zealand, and if there is a tiebreaker, if it is 2 tests each at the end of the series, they're going to bring in a tiebreaker. So last year they introduced a series decider to decide the outright winner. So if at the end of the fourth test is 2-2, the teams will take a 12-minute break after the end of the fourth game, and then they'll start again and play like a mini game, I guess, consisting of 2 7-minute halves. I really want to see that happen, so I'm saying 2 each. I don't know how realistic that is. Penny, have you got any ideas?
That's brilliant, Bridget. Yeah, good work dredging that up. I'd like to see the tiebreaker too, but I think I'm probably going to give the Australians the edge. Just because they've been so ruthless against South Africa. But I do find that their coach does make a whole lot of random changes sometimes. So maybe we can count on that. But it's going to be tough, isn't it?
I think the first test will be crucial. I think if we win that, I think your dream of being 2-2 and having this tiebreaker series will potentially come true. But we've got to hit them in this first test, and and that's where I think that the girls are really going to need to show their resolve, and I think they will. And I think that with adversity, you comes triumph, and those poor Wahine have been through the ringer recently, so I hope and pray for them to come out and have a really good first test, and then I think if we win that first test, we'll be set up.
Well, it's really interesting because home advantage history tells us that's huge in the Constellation Cup. So the last time the Diamonds won on New Zealand soil was in 2021, so 4 years ago. So they will be absolutely desperate to win these first 2 tests in Australia before they have to come here, because they've had a lot of trouble winning over here. I mean, likewise, similar for New Zealand. But yeah, if they could take that first test, that would be amazing.